Shalom, Shavatav, and welcome to the Philadelphia Assemblies. Today is again the 18th day of the 12th month, the month of Adar, in the year 5780. It's also the 18th day of March 2021 on the Gregorian calendar, and it's a Thursday afternoon. And this is the second message I've done on this day, but I like to keep my expository teachings about an hour, so I broke it up. Okay, this message won't be published until Friday evening. Okay, I'm going to publish it Friday evening. So if any of you would like to watch it when it comes out, it'll be published Friday evening. So let's go ahead and open in prayer again, even though this is the second time, because we need to make sure that we are asking for anointing. Excuse me. Father Yahuwah, again we ask for your anointing. Again we thank you for your delivering us from these treacherous times that we live in, from sparing us from the plague that's upon the whole earth. We ask that you continue to do that, and we thank you for that. And we ask again that you would heal those that are sick for whatever reason, that are being called and have been called. And Father, we also ask that you would comfort all those that's lost loved ones, no matter whether it's from the plague or from accidents or whatever they might be. And we ask that you would send forth your Ruach today, Father, and give us all an extra unction of your Spirit, that extra anointing for understanding as we go seek your word, Father, and your truth. Again, we ask all these things in your precious Son, Yahushua's name. Amen. Chapter 18, Part 4. This is almost every time. It says, the word which came to Jeremiah from Yahuwah, saying. And again, the word is the Ruach HaKodesh. And this word said, arise and go down to the potter's house, and there I will cause you to hear my words. Okay? So he gave him a commandment. Then I went down to the potter's house. This is Jeremiah. And behold, he was making a work on the wheels, the potter. And the vessel that he made of clay was marred in the hand of the potter. So he messed it up. So he made it again, another vessel, as seemed good to the potter to make it. Now, I'm going to expound on this a little bit, okay? That's what this is an allegory again, or a comparison of what happened with Israel, okay? Both the northern and the southern tribes, okay? The potter that he's talking about, and he's going to go into this in more detail, the book does, but I'm just expounding upon it so you catch it, okay? He made another work out of it, and that's spiritual Israel. You know, he didn't make another work out of physical Israel. Some of Israel, physical, are going to be saved. Obviously, they're going to be brung into it, and all of those that were predestined to be in that are probably going to be in that, you know, and I'm saying if they're predestinated. But obviously there's many false prophets, many briars and thorns, all of that thing that, you know, the whole deal that was known as physical Israel. Yahuwah, as being the potter, started over from the clay, okay, and made a new creation, which is the spiritual Israel, made up both of physical and wild olive branch, okay? I just got to keep hitting on that. Verse 5, then again, the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, and this is the Ruach HaKodesh that came to him, O house of Israel, cannot I do with you as the potter? Okay, remember what I just said? Is it not possible for me to start over? Saith Yahuwah, behold, as the clay is in the potter's hand, so are you in my hand, O house of Israel. At what instant I shall speak concerning a nation, okay, a physical nation, and concerning a kingdom to pluck up, and to pull down, and to destroy it. If that nation against whom I have pronounced turn from their evil, he's given them the opportunity to do that, and some do, but not all. I will grieve of the evil that I thought to do unto you. Okay? So, if anyone of that physical nation will turn from their evil ways, he'll be grieved about what he was going to do to them, and he's going to restore them back into the fold. Verse 9. And at what instant I shall speak concerning a nation and concerning a kingdom to build and to plant it. And when we talk about the commonwealth of Israel later on, that's what we're talking about. If it do evil in my sight, in other words, the nation of Israel, that it obey not my voice, which is his Ruach HaKodesh, then I will grieve of the good wherein I said I would benefit them. So if they turn from my covenant, then I'm going to put evil upon them. That's what he said, pretty much. Verse 11. Now therefore, go to speak. In other words, he's commanding Jeremiah the prophet to go to speak to the men of Yehudah and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, which he's talking about the southern kingdom now, saying, Thus saith Yahuwah, Behold, I fashion evil against you, or I form evil against you, and devise a device against you. Return you now, every one from his evil way. That's what he told Jeremiah to go tell him. And make your ways and your doings good. Now, tell me how much different this is than what our Messiah was doing in his ministry. It's no different. He went first to the tribes of all the lost tribes of Israel, and he went to the Yehudim, and he begged them to turn from their ways. And some of them did, and some of them didn't. Okay? And this is the same thing that he's telling Jeremiah the prophet to do. And Jeremiah the prophet is also his anointed one. He's not the Messiah, but he is the anointed one. And he's doing the same work that the Messiah did. And they were not listening then, just like they didn't when our Messiah walked on here on the earth. You have to understand, he offered it to them over and over again. And when his Messiah walked here on earth, received the Ruach HaKodesh, and imparted that to others, that covenant with the physical nation was over. Okay? It was finished. Now it came to the ones that turned away from their wicked ways and accepted Messiah and came under that blood. Okay? So you have to understand what's going on here. And they said, there is no hope, but we will walk after our own ways, our plans, and will every one do the stubbornness of his evil heart. Therefore, thus saith Yahuwah, ask you now among the nations. See what's going on here? Therefore, thus saith Yahuwah, ask you, talking to Jeremiah the prophet, now among the nations, who have heard such things, the virgin of Israel have done a very horrible thing. See, all this is being played out as an example to the nations, okay? That when he makes all these kingdoms come together in this commonwealth of Israel, what the result is if you turn from the truth and go back to your evil ways, okay? Verse 14, will a man leave the snow of Lebanon, which comes from the rock of the field? Or shall the cold flowing waters that come from another place be forgotten or forsaken? Verse 15, because my people have forgotten me, Yahuwah, they have burned incense or worshipped to vanity or for nothing, and they have caused them to stumble by their false prophets in their ways from the ancient paths to walk in paths in a way not cast up. In other words, not according to his covenant. Verse 16, to make their land desolate. That's what caused their land to be desolate. They didn't keep his covenant. And a perpetual hissing. Everybody's going to be, look, that's Israel. That's the ones that was forsaken of the Most High. Everyone that passes thereby shall be astonished and wag their head like saying no. You've seen people do that. Verse 17, I will scatter them, and he has, as with an east wind, before the enemy. I will show them the back, Yahuwah saying that, and not the face in the day of their calamity. Okay? And that was a type of that when our Messiah was on the stake. And you know, he said, my Father, why hast thou forsaken me? Because Yahuwah turned his back on his son, which had no sin. Why did he do that? For the sins of the people, to give them the opportunity to come to him. Verse 18, then said they, come and let us devise devices against Jeremiah. And that's what they do when someone brings the truth to them. They turn their back against them and don't listen. For the right ruling shall not perish from the priest or from the Cohen, nor counsel from the wise, nor the word from the prophet. In other words, it ain't going nowhere. We are the chosen people. Come, let us smite him, Jeremiah, with the tongue, and let us not give heed to any of his words. Give heed to me, O Yahuwah, listen to me and not Jeremiah, and hear and listen to the voice of them that contend with me. This is all thus saith Jeremiah. 20, shall evil be repaid for good? For they have digged a pit for my life. Remember that I stood before you. Talk about Jeremiah's telling Yahuwah, remember that I've stood before you to speak good for them, and to return away your wrath from them. He told them what Yahuwah told him to say. Therefore deliver up their sons to the famine, and bring death by the force of the sword, and let their wives be bereaved for their sons, and be widows, and let their men be to death. Let their young men be slain by the sword in battle. Let a cry be heard from their houses when you shall bring a troop, okay, or an army, suddenly upon them, on the physical nation of Israel, for they have digged a pit to take me, and hid traps for my feet. Verse 23, and that's what they do to the prophets. I'm not talking about just physical Israel, that's what everybody does, okay? I'm not picking just on them. Everybody does it. You speak the truth out there, people start doing all these things that Jeremiah the prophet's talking about. Yet Yahuwah you know all their counsel against me to slay me. Forgive not their sin, or their lawlessness, neither blot out their sin, your sight, but out from your sight, but let them be overthrown before you. Deal thus with them in the time of your anger. In other words, now this has been played out prior to our Messiah returning, and this is going to be played out fully upon the whole earth, not just physical Israel, prior to the Father returning, okay, and the new heaven and new earth. So at that time, his anger is going to fall upon all those that turned against him. Chapter 19. Thus saith Yahuwah to Jeremiah again, go and buy the potter's clay jar, and take of the elders of the people, take of the elders, and the elders of the people, and of the elders of the Kohanim, or the priests, and go forth into the valley of the Ben of Hinnom, which is Gehenna. Okay, it's the same area. It's the Gehenna. Okay, which is by the entry of the east gate. And proclaim there the words that I shall tell you, telling Jeremiah to do that in the valley of Hinnom. It's all prophetic of what's going to happen at the end of days. And say, hear you the word of Yahuwah, O kings of Yehudim. He's going to do the same thing with the congregation of the Most High and of the whole earth, and inhabitants of Jerusalem. Thus saith Yahuwah of the multitudes, or Sabaoth, the Elohim of Israel. Behold, I will bring evil upon this place, the which whosoever hears his ears shall tingle, because they have forsaken me and have estranged this place. Talking about Jerusalem and Israel at this time. But this is what's going to happen upon the whole earth before there is a new heaven and new earth. And have burned incense unto other Elohim, whom neither they nor their fathers have known, nor the kings of Yehuda, and have filled their place with the blood of innocence. Okay, innocence of these sacrifices. Okay, because they wouldn't keep his covenant. They wouldn't keep his right rulings. Verse 5, they have built also the high places of Baal. And that again, this could have very well been translated, they have built also the high places of the Lord to burn their bin, okay, their sons with fire for burnt offerings unto the Lord, which I commanded not, nor spake it, neither came it into my mind. Because that Baal is equal to the English word Lord. Verse 6, therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahuwah, that this place shall no more be called Tophet, nor the valley of Hinnom, but the valley of slaughter, and it's the valley of Gehenna. Okay? Verse 7, and I will make void the counsel of Yehuda. Okay? He's going to take away Yehuda and Jerusalem in this place. So right now, during this time till the Messiah returns, Jerusalem is void. Okay, that's why there's not a temple there. And I will cause them to fall by the sword before their enemies, and by the hands of them that seek their lives, and their carcasses will I give to be meat for the fowls of the Shamayim, or the heavens, and for the beasts of the earth. And I will make this city desolate, and a hissing or a scorn. Every one that passes thereby shall be astonished, and shall scorn, because of all the plagues thereof that's going to be on Israel then, but upon the whole earth before the new heaven and new earth. And I will cause them to eat the flesh of their sons, their ben, and the flesh of their daughters, and they shall eat every one the flesh of his friend, talking about cannibalism, in the siege and in hardship, wherein their enemies and they that seek their lives shall oppress them. Then shall you break the bottle in the sight of the men. This is the instructions he's given Jeremiah, that go with you, and shall say unto them, thus saith Yahuwah of the multitudes, or Sabaoth, even so will I break this people and this city, which he has done, as one that breaks a potter's vessel. And this is to say that physical nation of Israel, the covenant he had with them is done. Now it's going to be with the commonwealth of Israel, that cannot be made whole again. Said it can't be made whole again. And they shall burn them to Tophet, or in the valley of Gehenna. That's where the lake of fire is going to be. Till there be no more place to bury. Thus will I do unto this place, saith Yahuwah, and unto the inhabitants thereof, and even make this city as Tophet, Jerusalem. And he pretty much did that in about 70 A.D. And the houses of Jerusalem and the houses of the kings of Yehuda shall be defiled as the place of Tophet, or the valley of Hinnom, or Gehenna, because of all the houses upon whose roofs they have worshipped unto all the host of heaven, or the Shamayim, as they worship the stars, the sun, the moon, the stars, and have poured out drink offerings unto other Elohim. This is, thus saith Jeremiah, verse 14. Then came Jeremiah from Tophet, where Yahuwah had sent him to prophesy, or to teach. And he stood in the court of Yahuwah's house, or where the temple was, and said to all the people, thus saith Yahuwah of the multitudes, or Sabaoth, the Elohim of Israel, behold, I will bring upon this city, and upon all her towns, all the evil that I have pronounced against it, because they have hardened or stiffened their necks, that they might not hear my words or my covenant. Okay, my agreement. His words mostly is talking about the book of Deuteronomy, but really Genesis through Deuteronomy. Chapter 20. Now Pashur, the son of the Ben of Immer, the Cohen, who was also chief governor in the house of Yehudah, heard that Jeremiah prophesied these things. This is, I'm sure, written by Jeremiah. Then Pashur beat Jeremiah the prophet and put him in the prison that were in the high gate of Benjamin, the area of Benjamin, which was by the house of Yahuwah. And it came to pass the next day that Pashur brought forth Jeremiah out of the prison. Then Jeremiah unto him, then said Jeremiah unto him, Yahuwah has not called you your name Pashur, but Magomishshabib. Okay? For thus saith Yahuwah, behold, I will make you a terror to yourself and to all your friends, and they shall fall by the sword of their enemies, and your eyes shall behold, or your eyes shall see it. And I will give all Yehudah into the hand of the king of Babylon, or Nebuchadnezzar, I added that, and he shall carry them captive into Babylon, and shall slay them with the sword. Moreover, I will deliver all the strength of your city, and all the labors thereof, and all the precious things thereof, and all the treasures of the kings of Yehudah, will I give into the hand of their enemies, which shall plunder them, or steal them, and take them, and carry them to Babylon. And you, Pashur, and all that dwell in your house shall go into captivity. And you shall come to Babylon, and there you shall die, and shall be buried there, you and all your friends to whom you have prophesied lies. Okay? Verse 7. This is Jeremiah again. Verse 7. O Yahuwah, you have deceived me, and I was deceived. Thou art stronger than I, and hast prevailed. I am in derision daily. Everyone mocks me. Jeremiah. For since I spake, I cried out violence and spoil, because the word of Yahuwah was made a reproach unto me, and a derision daily. And that's what happens when you speak the truth. And the Ruach delivered that truth to him. Then I said, I will not make mention of him, nor speak any more in his name. But his word was in my heart, as a burning fire, shut up in my bones, and I was weary with forbearing, and I could not stay. He couldn't keep from telling the truth. For I heard the defaming of many fear on every side. Report, say they, and we will report it. All my, let's see, just a second. I want to make sure that I read that correctly. Just one second. I got 2 pages sticking together. All my trusted friends watched for my stumbling, saying, perhaps he will be enticed, and we shall prevail against him, and we shall take our revenge on him. But Yahuwah is with me. That's what Jeremiah is saying. As a mighty master. Therefore, and the word there is not master, as a mighty El, or a mighty one. Okay? Therefore, my persecutors shall stumble, and they shall not prevail. They shall be greatly ashamed. For they shall not prosper, nor everlasting confusion shall never be forgotten. Their confusion. Verse 12. But, O Yahuwah of Sabaoth, of the multitudes, that treat the righteous and see the emotions and the heart, let me see your vengeance on them, for unto you have I opened my cause. Sing unto Yahuwah, praise you the Yahuwah, for he hath delivered the life of the poor from the hand of evildoers. Cursed be the day wherein I was born. Let not the day wherein my mother bare me be blessed. Cursed be the man who brought tidings to my father, saying, a man child is born unto you, making him very glad. Pretty much what Job said with all his suffering. Okay, Jeremiah was suffering from the persecution. Verse 16, and let that man be as the cities which Yahuwah overthrew, and regretted not, and let him hear the cry in the morning, and the shouting at noontide. Because he slew me not from the womb, okay, because he slew me not from the womb, or that my mother might have been my grave, okay, and he in her womb to be always great with me. In other words, he said he could have killed me at birth. Wherefore came I forth, or why did I come forth out of the womb to see labor and sorrow, that my days should be consumed with shame? He's a whole lot like Job was saying. Chapter 21. The word which came to Jeremiah from Yahuwah, okay, which again was the Ruach HaKodesh, when King Zedekiah sent out him Pashru, the son of Melchiah, and Zephaniah, the son of Maaseiah, the Cohen, or priest, saying, inquire, I pray you, of Yahuwah for us. For Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, makes war against us, if so be that Yahuwah will deal with us according to all his wondrous works, that he may go up from us. Then said Jeremiah unto them, thus shall you say to Zedekiah, thus saith Yahuwah Elohim of Israel, behold, I will turn against the weapons of war that are in your hands, wherewith you fight against the king of Babylon. In other words, he's going to make their weapons useless. And against the Chaldeans which besiege you outside the walls, and I will assemble them into the midst of this city. And I myself will fight against you. Now how's he going to do that? With an outstretched hand, which is his Ruach, and with a strong arm, which is his Ruach, even in anger and in fury and in great indignation. And I will smite the inhabitants of this city, talking about Jerusalem, both man and beast, and they shall die of a great pestilence. And afterward, saith Yahuwah, I will deliver Zedekiah, king of Yehudah, and his servants, and the people, and such as are left in this city, from the pestilence, from the sword, and from the famine, into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and into the hand of their enemies, and into the hand of those that seek their life. And he shall smite them with the edge of the sword. He shall not spare them, neither have pity nor have mercy. Verse 8, and unto this people you shall say, thus saith Yahuwah, behold, I set before you the way of life and the way of death. He's already done this before. You choose his way and you live. You break his covenant and you die. He that abides in this city shall die by the sword and by famine and by pestilence. But he that goes out and falls to the Chaldeans that besiege you, he shall live, and his life shall be unto him for a booty, or a prey, or a reward. For I have set my face against this city for evil, and not for good, saith Yahuwah. it shall be given unto the hand of the king of Babylon, and he shall burn it with fire, and torch the house of the king of Yehuda. Say, hear you the word of Yahuwah, O house of Dawud. Thus saith Yahuwah, execute judgment in the morning, and deliver him that is spoiled or robbed out of the hand of the oppressor, lest my fury go out like fire, and burn that none can quench or put it out, because of the evil of your doings. And you know, this all happened with Nebuchadnezzar, but this is all a picture of what's going to happen at the end of days, before the new heaven and new earth. Behold, I am against you, O inhabitant of the valley of Hinnom, he's talking about, or Gehenna, and rock of the plain, saith Yahuwah, which say, who shall come down against us, or who shall enter into our habitations? But I will punish you, talking about Israel, according to the fruit of your doings. He's going to do that to the whole world, according to the fruit of their doings, saith Yahuwah. And I will kindle a fire in the forest thereof, and it shall devour all things round about. He's going to kindle a fire upon the whole earth when he returns, and there'll have to be a new heaven and a new earth as a result of that. This is all prophetic, more than one stage of prophecy. Chapter 22. Thus saith Yahuwah, go down to the house of the king of Yehuda, and speak there this word. This is what he's instructing Jeremiah to speak. And say, hear the word of Yahuwah, O king of the Yehuda, that sit upon the throne of Dawud. You and your servants, and your people that enter in by these gates, thus saith Yahuwah, execute you judgment and righteousness, and deliver the robbed out of the hand of the oppressor, save them, and do no wrong, do no violence to the stranger, the fatherless, nor the widow, neither shed innocent blood in this place, because that's all part of the covenant. For if you do this thing indeed, then shall there enter in by the gates of this house kings sitting upon the throne of Dawud. That's not going to happen until the millennial reign, riding in chariots and on horses, he and his servants and his people. But if you will not hear these words, I will swear by myself, because there's no one greater, saith you, and I added, because there's no one greater, saith Yahuwah, that this house shall become a ruin. For thus saith Yahuwah unto the kings of Yehuda, you are Gilead unto me, and the head of Lebanon. Yet surely I will make you a wilderness, and cities which are not inhabited. Talking about the nation of Israel. Not going to be inhabited by them. That's what he's saying. And I will prepare destroyers against you. And at this time, it's the other nations, Babylon and Chaldeans. Okay? But obviously, in the end, it's going to be the Ruach. Everyone with his weapons, and they shall cut down the choice cedars and cast them into the fire. And that's what's going to happen in the great white throne judgment. The great cedars, all these great leaders and ones that ruled by their own means and did that, they're going to be cut down and cast into the lake of fire. Verse 8, and many nations shall pass by this city, and they shall say, every man to his neighbor, why has Yahuwah done thus unto this great city? Because they didn't keep his covenant. Then they shall answer, because they have forsaken the covenant of Yahuwah, their Elohim, and worshipped other Elohim and served them. Verse 10, and this is Jeremiah again, 10 and 11. Weep you not, or do not weep for the dead, because we're commanded not to do that. Neither mourn them, but weep bitterly for him that goes away, for he shall return no more, nor see his native country. They're going into captivity. For thus saith Yahuwah, this is Jeremiah speaking here again, touching Shulem, the ben of Josiah, the king of Yehuda, which reigned instead of Josiah his father, which went forth out of this place. He shall not return there any more. Talking about the king Shulem. Verse 12. But he shall die in the place where they have led him captive, which is Babylon, and shall see this land no more. Woe, this is all thus saith Yahuwah from 12 on. Woe unto him that builds his house by unrighteousness. In other words, goes against Yahuwah's covenant to get his gain, and his chambers by wrong, that uses his neighbor's service without wages, makes them into slaves, and gives him not for his work. That's not a good thing, and that was done by, the Yehudim then, and it's done today too. Whether you be a full-blown slave or you're a indentured type servant where they don't pay you what you're worth. Verse 14, that says, I will build me a wide house and large chambers, and cut him out widows, and it is sealed with cedar and painted with vermilion. Verse 15, shall you reign because you closes yourself in cedar? Question, did not your father eat and drink and do judgment and justice? Okay, Josiah, yes he did. And then it was well with him. He judged the cause of the people and the needy. Then it was well with him. Was not this honor? Was not this to honor me? Yes, it was. And that's what they should be doing today. A lot of people don't understand the covenant's more than just keeping the Sabbath and the holy days. It's all these things he's talking about. Taking care of the widow, the orphan, making sure the poor are paid fairly. All those things like that. That honors Yahuwah. Verse 17. But your eyes and your heart are not but for your covetousness. In other words, greed. And for to shed innocent blood. And for oppression. And for extortion to do it. Therefore, thus saith Yahuwah concerning Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Yehuda, they shall not laminate for him. So I misspoke earlier. That's who he's speaking to here, is Jehoiakim, okay, son of Josiah. Okay, they shall not laminate or cry for him, O my brother, or O my sister. They shall not cry for him, saying, O master, okay, or his glory. Verse 19, he shall be buried with the burial of a donkey or an ass, drawn and cast forth beyond the gates of Jerusalem. Go up to Lebanon and cry, and lift up your voice in Bashan, and cry from the passages, for your lovers are destroyed. And that's talking about these other Elohim. I spake unto you in your prosperity, but you said, in other words, when he was blessing them, but you said, I will not listen. This hath been your manner from your youth, that you obeyed not my voice. Again, which is his Ruach, and the way you do that is by keeping his covenant, keeping his right rulings or Torah. Verse 22, the wind shall eat up all your pastors, and your lovers shall go into captivity. Surely then shall you be ashamed and confounded for all your wickedness. O inhabitants of Lebanon, that make your nest in the cedars, how gracious shall you be when pangs come upon you, and pain is of a woman in birth or in childbirth. Verse 24, as I live, saith Yahuwah, though Coniah the son of Jehoiakim, king of Yehuda, were the ring upon my right hand, yet would I pluck you from there. 25, and I will give you unto the hand of them that seek your life, and unto the hand of them whose face you dread, even unto the hand of Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon, and unto the hand of the Chaldeans. And I will cast you out, and your mother that bare you, unto another country where you were not born. That's already happened. And there shall you die. It happened here, and it happened again after Messiah, and it's still going on today. But to the land whereunto you desire to return, there shall they not return until Messiah returns. Verse 28, this is Jeremiah. Is this man, Coniah, a despised broken idol? Is he a vessel wherein is no pleasure? Wherefore or why are they cast out? He and his descendants, and are cast into a land which they know not. Talking about Babylon. O earth, hear the word of Yahuwah. Thus, and this is in red, verse 30, this is thus saith Yahuwah, write you this, man childless, a man that shall not prosper in his days, for no man of his descendants shall prosper, sitting upon the throne of David, and ruling any more in Yehuda. Chapter 23. Woe unto the shepherds, or pastors, that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, saith Yahuwah. See, there was people that were trying, within the Yehudim, that were trying to do the right thing. But these false prophets and teachers were all teaching them the wrong things and leading them away from the truth. And that's what Yahuwah is talking about here. Verse 2, he says, thus saith Yahuwah Elohim of Israel, against shepherds that feed my people, which would be Levi. You have scattered my flock and driven them away, and have not visited them. Behold, I will visit upon you the evil of your doing, saith Yahuwah. And I will gather the remnant of my flock, which those are the ones that were seeking Yahuwah, even though they didn't know how, out of all countries whither I have driven them. Not going to do that until the Messiah returns. Matthew 24. And will bring them again unto their folds, and they shall be fruitful and increase. That's going to be when our Messiah returns during the millennium and afterwards. And I will set up shepherds over them. Okay, these are talking about people that have the Ruach at this time, Hakadesh, over them, which shall feed them, this fold, and they shall fear no more. That'll come. Those shepherds are going to come both out of the physical Israel and also the grafted in. Okay, and shall fear no more, nor be dismayed, neither shall they be lacking anything, saith Yahuwah. Behold, the days come, saith Yahuwah, that I will raise unto David a righteous branch, talking about our Messiah, and a king shall reign and prosper in the 1,000-year reign, and shall execute judgment and justice in the earth. That's not going to happen until the millennium. Verse 6, in his days Yehuda shall be saved, and Israel. Okay, because those two sticks are going to become one. We're going to read with that when we get to the prophet Ezekiel. And shall dwell safely, and this is his name, whereby he shall be called Yahuwah our righteousness, because he's coming in his father's name. He's not going to be called Yahuwah. He's going to be called Yahushua, because he's coming in his father's name. 7, therefore behold, the days come, saith Yahuwah, that they shall no more say, Yahuwah lives, which brought up the bin of Israel out of the land of Egypt. But Yahuwah lives, they won't be saying it, but Yahuwah lives, which brought up and which led the descendants of the house of Israel out of the north country and from the countries where I had driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. This is talking about they would come back to Israel, which they did. Okay, we've read some about that already. We're going to be reading more as we go through the prophets. recalling back to when they came back. My heart within me is broken because of the prophets. This is Jeremiah speaking in verse 9. All my bones shake. I am like a drunken man, and like a man whom wine has overcome, because of Yahuwah and because of the words of his set apartness. For the land is full of adulterers, for because of swearing, or because of a curse, the land mourns. The pleasant places of the wilderness are dried up, and their course is evil, and their force is not right. This is thus saith Yahuwah in verse 11. For both prophet and priest, Cohen, are profane. Yes, in my house have I found their wickedness, saith Yahuwah. Therefore their way shall be unto them as slippery ways in the darkness. They shall be driven on and fall therein. Remember, he's talking about they be stumbled and trapped and all that same language. For I will bring evil upon them, even the year of their visitation, saith Yahuwah. And I have seen folly in the prophets of Samaria, which would have been the northern tribes. They prophesied in Baal, or they prophesied to the Lord, and caused my people Israel to err. I have seen also the prophets of Jerusalem, which would be the prophets of Yehuda, and horrible thing, they commit adultery and walk in lies. They strengthen also the hands of evildoers, that none does return from his wickedness. They are all of them unto me as Sodom, and inhabitants thereof as Gomorrah. We know what that's talking about. They all were burnt in that land, and they'll be burned when the white throne judgment is over. They'll be tossed in then at that judgment. Verse 15. Therefore thus saith Yahuwah of the multitudes, or Sabaoth, concerning the prophets, behold, I will feed them with wormwood, or bitterness, and make them drink the water, of venom. In other words, he said, I will feed them with bitterness and make them drink the water of venom, like of snakes. For from the prophets of Jerusalem is godlessness gone forth into all the land. In other words, they took them away from the truth. Verse 16, thus saith Yahuwah of Sabaoth, or the multitudes, listen not unto the words of the prophets at this time, okay, that prophesy unto you. They make you worthless. They speak a vision of their own heart, and not out of the mouth of Yahuwah. They say still unto them that despise me, Yahuwah has said, you shall have peace, and they say unto every one that walks after the imagination of his own heart, no evil shall come upon you. For who has stood in the private thoughts of Yahuwah, and have perceived and heard his word? Who have heeded his word and heard it? Behold, a whirlwind of Yahuwah is gone forth in fury, even a grievous whirlwind. It shall fall grievously upon the head of the wicked. The anger of Yahuwah shall not return until he have executed, until he have performed the thoughts of his heart. In the latter days you shall understand it perfectly. This is talking about in the day of the white throne judgment, you shall understand it perfectly. Verse 21, I have not sent these prophets, yet they ran. And there's a lot of prophets out there today that he hasn't sent, but yet they ran. I have not spoken to them, yet they prophesy or teach. But if they had understood my mind, and had caused my people to hear my words, then they should have turned them from their evil way, and from the evil of their doings. Am I an Elohim at hand, saith Yahuwah, and not an Elohim afar off? In other words, he's just the one that's here, not that's all far off too. Verse 24, can any hide himself in secret places that I shall not see him, saith Yahuwah? Do not I fill the Shamayim and earth, saith Yahuwah? I have heard what the prophets said, and that prophesy lies in my name, saith, I have dreamed, I have dreamed. In other words, when they didn't. Okay? Now, notice up here, I've heard some people say that, that our Father is not omnipotent, meaning he'd be omnipresent, that he's not everywhere. Well, he is, according to his own word here. He says, can any hide himself in secret places that I shall not see him? Shall saith Yahuwah, do not I fill the Shamayim and the earth? Sounds like he's omnipresent to me, saith Yahuwah. Wherever he is, he's everywhere. You can't hide from him. 25. I have heard what the prophets said that prophesy lies in my name, saying, I have dreamed, I have dreamed. How long shall this be in the heart of the prophets that prophesy lies? Yes, they are prophets of the deceit of their own heart, which think to make my people to forget my name by their dreams, which they tell every man to his neighbor, as their fathers have forgotten my name for Baal or for the Lord. Verse 28. The prophet that hath a dream, let him tell a dream. In other words, if I give him a dream, let him tell a dream. And he that hath my word, let him speak my words faithfully. What is the chaff to the wheat? That's that husk that protects the grain, saith Yahuwah. Is not my word like as a fire, saith Yahuwah, and like a hammer that breaks the rock in pieces? And that's the Ruach and his word that comes from him. Verse 30, therefore, behold, I am against the prophets, saith Yahuwah, that steal my words, every one from his neighbor. In other words, prophesy lies. Behold, I am against the prophets, saith Yahuwah, that use their tongues and say, he saith, when he didn't say. I added, when he didn't say. Behold, I am against them that prophesy false dreams, saith Yahuwah, and do tell them, and cause my people to err by their lies, and by their boasting. Yet I sent them not, nor commanded them. Therefore they shall not profit this people at all, saith Yahuwah. And when this people, or the prophet, or the Cohen, or the priest, shall say you, saying, what is the message of Yahuwah? You shall then say unto them, what message? I have even forsaken you, saith Yahuwah. And as for the prophet and the Cohen, okay, and the people that I shall say the message of Yahuwah, I will even punish that man in his house that gives a false message. Verse 35, thus shall you say every one to his neighbor and every one to his brother, what hath Yahuwah answered? And what hath Yahuwah spoken? He's spoken it right here in his word. Verse 36, and the message, again, of Yahuwah shall you mention no more. For every man's word shall be his message. For you have perverted the words of the living Elohim, of Yahuwah of Sabaoth, or the multitudes, our Elohim. Thus shall you say to the prophet, what hath Yahuwah answered you? And what have Yahuwah spoken? But since you say, the message of Yahuwah, therefore thus saith Yahuwah, because you say this word, the message of Yahuwah, and I have sent unto you, saying, you shall not say the message of Yahuwah. In other words, they're not to teach or bring forth the truth. 39, therefore, behold, I, even I, will utterly forget you, and I will forsake you, and the city that I gave you, talking about the city of Jerusalem, and the prophets that prophesied falsely in his name, and your fathers, and cast you out of my presence. And I will bring an everlasting reproach upon you, and a perpetual shame which shall not be forgotten. We're going to stop right there. That's pretty close. We'll start part 5 next time in chapter 24. And if you haven't yet subscribed, please subscribe. And not because it benefits any of us, because it's free to subscribe. And we don't make any money based on you subscribing, okay? But it's so that you can get the word, okay, when it comes out. And it's also so that you could share that word with others, okay? So hit the subscribe button, and then share the video if you would, and give it a thumbs up, and then hit that notification bell. And again, may Yahuwah bless until we meet again.